So if you're after an affordable laptop that can cope with a whole range of activities without soiling itself, then definitely consider the majestically titled Magicbook from Honor, which is Huawei's sister company best known for its budget blowers. The Honor Magicbook is basically just a repurposed Huawei Matebook D14, and considering the very reasonable £549 asking price, that is absolutely fine by me. While it's not ideal for dedicated creative work, the rest of the laptop really delivers, making it a great choice for students and even business folk who are on a tight budget. I've been using the Honor Magicbook as my full-time laptop for the past week or so for everything apart from 4K video editing. That's a little bit beyond it. So here is my full review, and for more of the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So first up, while the Magicbook isn't exactly the skinniest laptop around, it is thankfully pretty lightweight at just under 1.5 kilos. But that doesn't mean that the chassis feels cheap or flaccid in any way. It's still a durable metal frame that can definitely take some proper punishment. And the lid is just about flexible enough as well to absorb any impact without feeling a bit too flimsy. Unfortunately, much like the Matebook laptop on which it is based, the Magicbook doesn't exactly spot the most exciting of designs, shall we say. It's only available in this one colour, the thrilling space grey. Doesn't exactly stir the old loins much, does it? But I suppose if nothing else, the Magicbook does at least sport a fairly professional look, so it'll fit in with an office or a business setting. As for the ports, well, you've got a single Type-C USB here on the side of the Magicbook, which is also used for charging. So that means, unfortunately, you can't get that on a Magicbook powering up and also connect a Type-C USB peripheral. And on top of that, there's a pretty slim selection. You get two Type-A USBs, one 3.0 and one 2.0, and also an HDMI port for your display outputs. And one of the best features of the Huawei Matebooks is carried over to the Magicbook, and that is a fingerprint sensor built into the power button. This is a great little time saver and works well as long as your hands aren't dry from all the non-stop hand washing thanks to our great mate Corona. Top tip, kiddies, the key is to dry your hands really thoroughly after washing, and of course stay moisturized. You've also got a backlit, spill-resistant keyboard, which, as you can hear there, is surprisingly quiet to tap away on, so you can do your tappy-tappy even in the dead of night without worrying about waking up the whole household. It's quite a firm action, and despite the rather shallow travel, it's really comfortable to type away on even for hours at a time. As for the backlighting, well, you can knock it off at any point or switch between two different levels of brightness to suit the current ambience. As for the touchpad, well, it's quite a spacious affair, and it's definitely responsive to all of your multi-touch gestures, which is definitely a good thing as there is no touchscreen support here on the Magicbook. So let's move on to the display tech, and what you get here on the Magicbook is a 14-inch Full HD display. It's an 81% screen to body ratio. That's helped along by the fact you've got these skinny bezels down the side and of course up top, because there's no webcam there either. It's been cleverly repositioned right here inside of the keyboard. This allows you to activate it only when absolutely needed, although the positioning ain't exactly ideal for Skyping or Zooming. Just make sure that you trim any rogue nasal hairs before you dive into a video conference. And the display bends back a full 180 degrees as well, so basically you'll get a comfortable viewing angle no matter how you're hunched over this thing. Unfortunately, this ain't one of the brightest panels around. I found in my display tests, even cranked up to that maximum brightness, it would just about hit 250 nits. So it's absolutely fine for indoors use, but as soon as you take it outdoors, you're going to be struggling even with that anti-reflection display, unless it's like midnight or something. And color reproduction is far from natural, so the Magicbook laptop is no good for creative output. Just 65% of the sRGB gamut and 49% of the Adobe RGB gamut are accurately covered. But still, the visuals are only slightly cold, and the Full HD resolution keeps everything nice and crisp, so this is fine for a bit of Netflix or browsing your pics or whatever. As for the audio, well, it's a quad speaker setup with full Dolby Atmos support here on the Honor Magicbook, and despite the fact that they're all downwards firing, I found that the clarity was absolutely fine, unless of course you bump up to those sort of maximum volume levels, in which case everything sounds tinny and horrid. But I found that just while chopping up a bit of spuds in the kitchen, lots of background noise and everything, I could still perfectly well enjoy a nice bit of Netflix, something like that. Now you can grab the Magicbook in two different flavours. You've got your 8th gen Intel or a bit of AMD Ryzen 5 2500U action. And this reblighter here is the AMD model, complete with 8 gigs of DDR4 RAM and a spot of Radeon Vega 8 graphics action. And this is absolutely fine for everyday multitasking, for instance streaming a bit of music or video while you're working in Chrome and downloading or uploading files. You can even indulge in some light creative work if you want, and a spot of gaming too, but definitely stick to older or more basic titles. Anything even vaguely demanding is likely to stutter and stammer. The likes of Dear Esther and other chilled out games ran perfectly well. And for the benchmark fans out there, these are the Geekbench 5 scores. As you can see, quite low low for the single core, but you can definitely handle a nice bit of multitasking absolutely fine. And as for Cinebench R20, well, pretty standard for the Ryzen 2500U. As for the cooling side of things, well, the Honor Magicbook sports a single internal fan, and that copes absolutely fine even when things get a little bit strenuous. The bottom of the laptop does get a little bit toasty, but nothing too troublesome at all, and everything stays whisper quiet. But it is worth noting, however, that the AMD version of the Honor Magicbook isn't quite as energy efficient as the Intel version. So you can expect longer battery life from the Intel version of the Honor Magicbook, but still, the AMD version coped absolutely fine. I found I generally got around 7 to 8 hours of mixed use per full charge. Most of the time I was streaming a bit of music while beavering away in Chrome, with the odd little break for a bit of Netflix or YouTube, something like that. That's not a bad performance at all for a budget laptop. And as for the storage, you get a 256 gig solid state drive stuffed in there, and it's a nippy wee bugger too, so stuff loads up nice and fast and downloads are quick on a decent connection. And that right there is what I think of the Honor Magicbook after rocking it for a full week. As you can see, if you want something that's fairly lightweight and portable, not going to break the bank and fine for your everyday sort of general use, this will definitely do the job. If you're into more creative tasks, something a bit more demanding, you might have to bump up your budget a bit. Here in the UK, the Honor Magicbook will be available from April the 7th, prices starting from 549 quid, available from Argos and Amazon. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please do poke, subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech, and have yourselves a lovely week, people. Cheers everyone, love you!